What is up, everybody? My name is Logan Sharon, and welcome to CTF Sharon Talks Football. I am wearing my own CTF sweatshirt here, and I got this made a few days ago, and I am so grateful that somebody made it for me. Thank you so much. Sadly, I do not have merch out yet, but I am working on it. Hopefully, we will get these made to where I can sell these. These would be absolutely dope. I love these sweatshirts so much, and I hope you would enjoy them. But with all that out of the way, today I am going to be giving you my rankings for the NFL head coaches so far this year. Trust me, we have a lot to talk about, but I'm going to save most of the NFL stuff for tomorrow for my reactions video. But today, I'm just going to straight up be talking about how NFL head coaches are doing so far this year. There might be a little bit of spoilers for this week. That's probably what's led to most of the changes. Trust me, I'm so happy right now. You'll see. But with all that said, let's get started. Before I get started, though, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos whenever I post. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get started. So how we've got it set up here, we've got a tier list right here, and then we've got all the coaches below. We've got 6 different categories here. On the very top, we've got best of the best. Below that, we've got very good coaches. Below that, we've got good but limited. Below that, we've got not great. At the second to bottom, we've got needs to go. And at the very bottom, we've got fired. That means coaches that have already been fired, so there's not much to talk about. So the very first coach we've got here is Sean McDermott, and I'm going to put him up on the best of the best. You guys can argue that he can be in the very good category because they haven't won a single Super Bowl yet. But I'm putting him up here because ever since he got hired in 2019, they have had a winning record in every single one of their seasons. He has developed Josh Allen to become the great Josh Allen we know today. And without him, the Bills wouldn't have had as much success as they have had so far in the last 5 to 6 years, even though they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, but hopefully they get one in the future. Next, we've got Mike McDaniel, and I don't really like him. I'm going to say he's not great. A little bit ago, I thought he needed to go. Realistically, he does, but he just got extended, so he's going to be here for a little bit longer, but I just don't think he's the answer. He's proved so far this year that he is very decent with offense, but he's also very limited. Like, you could see, the last couple years, oh my God, he's great with offense, but he's just not good in the playoffs. But so far this year, he has proved with offense that he's good, but he's also very limited. Same thing with, the playoffs, what I was just speaking of. You can't trust him in the playoffs, like we've seen it the last 2 years. So those reasons alone, I have him down here and not great. Next coach we've got is Robert Saleh, and he was fired. I will say I think he was fired way too soon. Week 5 was way too soon for him to get fired. If he was still hired, I would say either not great or good but limited, because I don't think he should have been the first head coach to be fired. He wasn't doing anything horrible, but he just wasn't getting the job done, I guess. I don't know. The Jets got a huge win against the Texans this week, so I think if Robert Saleh was still around, the Jets' defense would be so much better. So for that reason alone, I think Robert Saleh should have still stuck around for until the end of the season at least. But yeah, I think he's got fired way too early, so yeah. Next, we've got Gerard Mayo, and he's going to go into not great. He's damn near getting down here. He's a brand new head coach, so he still has a lot to prove, but at the same time, so far this year, I know the Patriots don't have much of a roster, but when you're calling your players soft and not really giving them much of a chance, you're already setting yourself up for failure. The most important thing when you're a new head coach with a very, new roster, you got to give them a little bit of positivity, even if you guys know you guys are getting blown out of the water. And for Gerard Mayo to just keep saying, oh, these players are soft, these players suck, it's just not going to give your locker room that much of high expectations for you. And if he keeps that up, he's going to lose his locker room very quickly and probably his job. Next, we've got Zach Taylor, and I'm going to put him in good but limited. People can say that he's being carried by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase all they want, but my take on this one is look back at last season when Joe Burrow was hurt almost the whole year. They had a second-string quarterback who's a rook. They had a lot of injuries, and they just did not have a lot of expectations. But they were still finding ways to win games, and they found themselves with a winning record. Sadly, not making the playoffs, but they still found themselves a winning record. I think that year really proved that Zach Taylor can still be a quality head coach, and he is the right coach for that fit. But I don't think he's the best, obviously. I think he struggles a lot when he's down. And if they fix that, he could become a really good head coach. But with for now, I think he's good, but he's also very limited. Next, we've got Kevin Stefanski, and this might be the hottest take of the video, but I still think he's a very good coach. It's not this dude's fault that the Browns literally have nobody, and they literally have a bunch of injuries, and Deshaun Watson's the worst quarterback in football. He won Coach of the Year last year for a reason, and he won Coach of the Year his rookie coaching season in 2020. He's a damn good head coach. He has put the Browns in such good situations year after year. After one bad year, you can't say this guy's like the worst coach in football right now and he needs to go. Like, that's just not true. Just for once, get the Browns a legit quarterback and some more offensive linemen, and the Browns could be good again. Just trust me on this. Kevin Stefanski should not be in the needs to go category. Like, you can't just get rid of a coach from winning Coach of the Year a year prior. Like, that just doesn't make sense. Next, we've got Mike Tomlin, and there's not really much to explain for this one. He's one of the best coaches of all time. He's kept the Steelers in such a good spot his whole career. They've never had a losing record, and I think they'll keep him until he retires. He's absolutely amazing. Next, we've got John Harbaugh, and forget what I said about Kevin Stefanski. This might be the hottest take, but I'm going to put him down here. He's very good, but he's extremely limited. Yes, he is a mastermind when it comes to defense. We've seen that with this team, and he's very good at working his offense. He knows what fits Lamar the best. But we've seen it so many times throughout the years during the regular season and the playoffs. This guy's time clock management is not great at all. He sometimes makes really stupid decisions that cost this team losses and turnovers. And they haven't really done much in the playoffs. So I think he's going to be down here for now. But if the Ravens have decent success this year, at least making the Super Bowl, I think he'll be back up to very good, possibly best of the best again. But for now, he is very good, but he's extremely limited. Next, we've got Shane Steichen, and I'm going to put him in good but limited. He has proved throughout the years that when he's been a coach that he can lead a team, especially with teams that haven't had much expectations, just like the Colts. And he can lead a team to success, but I'm going to put him in good but limited because of the quarterback situation they have right now. Obviously, yes, Joe Flacco is the better fit right now, but if you're looking towards the future, like the future of this franchise, benching Anthony Richardson this early is not setting him up for success at all. Like, think about it. NFL teams have been doing this to rookie QBs for a few years now. They set up these really high expectations for him, expect him to do great things, and whenever they don't do that in the first 2 years, they get benched like it's nothing. Like, great examples that this has happened too. Like, Trevor Lawrence is going through it right now. Justin Fields with the Bears. Now he's on the Steelers. So far, he's been doing pretty decent. And then the biggest one to me is Mac Jones. Like, he was great his rookie year. And then they just put more expectations on him because they made the playoffs. And look how he turned out. He did not have a great year. And he turned out to be the backup for the Jaguars. Like, he turned out to be a failure just because of the amount of expectations they put on him. And they're just setting him up for failure. That's what I'm afraid the Colts are doing to Anthony Richardson right now. But other than that, Shane Streichen's a pretty good coach, but he is limited. Next, we've got Doug Peterson, and he needs to go, like, right now. I don't know what it is with Doug. Like, when he gets hired for the first 2 years, it's like he bamboozles the team and fans that he's this great head coach that the teams have been missing. And then after that, he just becomes super stale. Like, he becomes, like, a really dysfunctional head coach. Like, just looking at the 2022 season, like, the Jaguars are at a great spot. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff game. They almost beat the Chiefs, for crying out loud. And then halfway through last year, he had the Jaguars sitting pretty at like 7-2. And then they ended off with a losing record and missing the playoffs. Okay, not a losing record, my bad. They ended up with 9-8 and missing the playoffs. And then this year, the Jaguars are doing absolutely horrible. Like, the Jaguars did not need to get Doug Peterson now that we're seeing it. Like, that's the biggest problem with the Jaguars right now. They are just a poorly coached team, and Doug Peterson is the main issue. Like, he's got to go. Next, we've got DeMeco Ryans, and I'm going to put him in very good. He is almost up here. Ever since he was hired last year, he has brought the Texans to such good success, like success they haven't seen in such a long time. The team is in such a good spot right now. They're sitting really good at 7-2 right now. Oh wait, my bad, 6-3. They lost to the damn Jets. But other than that, the Texans have been really good, and DeMeco Ryans has helped them become really good. I think he should have won Coach of the Year last year, but he didn't, which sucks. But I think he's a very good head coach. If he keeps it up, he will be in the one of the best column here. Next, we've got Brian Callahan, and I'm going to put him in not great. We really don't know much about him yet, but I'm just going to put him in not great because so far the Titans have been awful this year, and they just haven't had much success. But I will say, I still don't think they should have fired Mike Vrabel. If Mike Vrabel was still the coach, I think they'd be in a lot better spot right now. That's just me, though. Next, we've got Sean Payton, and I really don't like the guy, but I'm going to put him in very good coach. He's still a really good coach. He knows how to run an offense pretty decently. He knows how to run a team pretty decently, even though I think he's an asshole. He is a tiny bit limited, especially with playoff success, but other than that, he's a good coach. Like, just get him out of my face. Next, we've got Jim Harbaugh, and so far, he's been really good this year. He's such a good coach for the Chargers, and I just think he knows how to work with players so well. He did the same thing with San Francisco back in the early 2010s, and we're seeing it again right now. Jim Harbaugh is such an amazing head coach for both college and NFL. He is such a good talent to have on your team. He is a very good coach. Next, we've got Andy Reid, and next we've got Antonio Pierce, and man, like, he's going to be in not great. He almost might have to be down here. It's such a shame, too, because last year when the Raiders fired their head coach, he was the replacement, and he had the Raiders and the locker room at such a good spot, and I had such a good expectation for him. Like, I thought he was going to be great. And then so far this year, even though the Raiders do not have that good of a roster, he just hasn't had the Raiders at such a good spot. Saying it's incredibly stupid stuff on social media, not making that great of play calls and clock decisions. Like, if he needs to turn it around, because I really do like Antonio Pierce, but so far he has not been that good of a coach. Hopefully he can turn around, but right now he has not been doing great. Next we've got Dan Quinn, and I'm going to put him up in very good. He has the Commanders in such a good spot right now. Like, it also could be roster, but also just the fact that nobody had expectations for this team. I thought Dan Quinn was going to be such a bad hire for the Commanders. That's just me. But so far, he's been great. Like, the team has been great. Like, right now, they're 7-2. Like, and they're the top of the division right now. Like, they look so good right now. And it's part of it could also be because of him. So right now, I've got Dan Quinn in very good. Next, we've got Mike McCarthy, and he needs to go, man. He should have left a few years ago, especially about after last year, because that playoff performance against the Packers was super embarrassing. But for some reason, Jerry Jones still kept him around, and so far this year, the Cowboys have been ass. The offense looks terrible. The team is super soft. They just are not a tough team at all, especially their defense. And we've already seen this like every single year he's coached. His clock management is shit. If the Cowboys want to have any success for the rest of the year, they've got to make a huge change to their team, and I think getting rid of Mike McCarthy would be the better answer out of all the things that have been wrong with this team. So yes, I think he needs to go. Do I think he will be gone during the season? No, I think he'll be after the season. Next, we've got Nick Sirianni, and I also think he needs to go. He has the Eagles in a way better spot than the Cowboys, but I just hate the guy, man. He's such an ass. Like, he's talking crap to all these fan bases, including his own. Like, come on, dude. And it's not like he's doing anything. Like, he's leading this team to, like, choking almost every game they've played. Like, spoiler, when they played the Jaguars, they were up 17-0, and they almost lost that game. Like, come on. And another big thing about Nick Sirianni is that his clock management is worse than Mike McCarthy's. Like, come on, dude. Like, I hate the guy. He's a villain in the league. But he's also a terrible coach. Like, he's got to go. Next, we've got Brian Daboll, and I really could be putting him down here to not great, but I'm just going to put him in good but limited. Like, he's kept the Giants in pretty close games, but the last 2 years, the Giants have not been great at all. And after his one good year, like, we're starting to ask, like, does he have more to offer? Like, that's just but I still think he's a decent coach in my opinion. But one thing I do find funny every single time is if the refs make any sort of bad call against the Giants, he's going to yell at the refs so loud that his head's going to pop up like a bobblehead. It's actually really funny. But yeah, people might not agree with me on this one, but I'm going to put him in good but limited for now. Later in the season, he could be not great or needs to go. Next, we got Matt Eberflus, and I think he needs to go, like, right now. I think he needs to go more than any of these guys down here. Like, especially watching Hard Knocks, he's such a terrible coach. Like, he doesn't do anything. He put super high expectations on Caleb Williams to do great, like, right away. And Caleb Williams has been decent, but not great either. And also, this dude's play calling is terrible. Like, really, dude? Like, a run on 3rd and 7? Like, come on. And if it wasn't for the Bears' defense, I think the Bears would be doing a lot worse than how they're doing right now. And I think Matt Eberflus is such a huge problem over there. Like, if the Bears want to have any success later down the road, they have the roster for it, for sure. But if they want to have any success, Matt Eberflus has to go, like, right now. Next, we've got Dan Campbell, and I think he belongs up here. He's one of the best coaches in football right now. And if you're trying to argue that he's not, just shut your mouth and just hear this. Before Dan Campbell was around, the Lions have been such a horrible franchise. They've been such a laughingstock to the NFL, and they've never been good. They've had a few great players, but they've never been great. And then Dan Campbell rolls around. For his first year wasn't the best. He had to get used to a new roster, and that's fair. And then 2022 rolls around. Still not the best, not at the peak, but they did something. They got him to a winning record, and they bounced the Packers out of the playoffs. They started making noise. And then last year came around, and then the Lions won the division. They had a huge winning record, one of the best seasons the Lions have ever had. Made it all the way to the NFC Championship, should have made the Super Bowl. And then so far, look how great the Lions are doing right now. They're looking like the best team in football. Dan Campbell is such an amazing coach. He can make a little bit of risky decisions sometimes on 4th down, but that's mostly benefiting his team. Like, he's doing so great right now. And just hearing this guy's speeches talking about wins or losses or how much he adores this team, it's so great to see. Like, I absolutely love Dan Campbell, and I hope he's around for a long time. Next, we've got Matt LaFleur, but I could put him up here, but I'm going to put him down in very good. He's had a lot of people doubt him in the past in his career, especially 2 years ago when the Packers just weren't at the best spot. But he has proved time and time again that he can lead a team to a good success, and he is a great offensive mind. Like, he's amazing at calling offense. And the Packers right now are at a pretty decent spot at 6-3. They're a pretty damn good team. And the main reason why I don't have him in best of the best is because I don't think he's as good as these 4 up here. Like, he's just not matched like the same success as these 4 up here. I mean, you could argue Sean McDermott, but still, I think he's a very good head coach. Next, we've got Kevin O'Connell, and I'm going to put him up in best of the best. He absolutely deserves it. Ever since he's gotten hired a few years ago, he's put the Vikings to such good success. But I think the one thing that has solidified Kevin O'Connell for being one of the best coaches in the NFL is how he works with quarterbacks. He is such a great quarterback coach. He's one of the best in the NFL. Like, look at Sam Darnold. He wasn't having the best career and look how bad he did with the Jets and Panthers. And he was only a backup for the Niners. And then as soon as he goes to the Vikings, he wasn't even supposed to be the starter. It was supposed to be J.J. McCarthy. But he got hurt during the preseason, so they had to roll with him. And look how much success he's had. And look how much better he looks with Kevin O'Connell as his coach. I think that alone just proves that Kevin O'Connell is so great at working with quarterbacks. And without him, the Vikings would not be as good as they are right now. Next, we've got Todd Bowles, and he's probably been one of the most improved coaches so far. He used to always be down here, but so far he's been good, but pretty limited. With the Bucs, he has proved that he can lead this team to victory. We've seen it the last 2 years. But I think what keeps them limited is how he struggles when the Bucs are down by multiple scores. But other than that, I think Todd Bowles has been a pretty good coach this year. Next, we've got Raheem Morris, and I am going to put him up in very good so far. Like, with the Falcons, he's been really good so far this year. The Falcons so far are having a great season under Raheem Morris, and he knows how to work this offense better than anybody so far the Falcons have had with this core. But one thing that kind of made me struggle to put him up here is I'm looking back at draft day. Like, why did they draft Michael Penix Jr., especially with how much they paid Kirk Cousins? But again, it could be like the Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers situation. Kirk Cousins is getting older, despite how much money he's getting paid. And I think Michael Penix could be the next Jordan Love. He looks pretty decent. But for now, we're going to look at that as one of the dumber moves in the draft. But that's how we thought with Jordan Love. But look how good he's doing now. So, I don't know. Let's give it a chance. Raheem Morris so far has been a good coach. Next, we've got Dave Canales, and so far, I am going to put him in not great. This whole team has been terrible this year. Like, they haven't looked much better than last year. Bryce Young just has struggled to, like, show his success that he's had in Bama so far this season and last season. And just so far, I don't think Dave Canales is getting the job done. And that's just me. We don't really know much about him, but so far, we're just going to judge off the Panthers' success right now. And right now, they're one of if not the worst team in the NFL right now. So I'm just going to put them in not great. Oh, I've been waiting for this one. Next, we've got Dennis Allen. And he was finally fired. It was announced this morning after getting shit on by the Panthers, losing to them in Carolina. This dude is finally gone. What in the heck was taking them this long to make this move? He was a terrible hire from the beginning. Like, ever since Sean Payton left, we went to Dennis Allen instead of looking for a new coach. And we saw it with the Raiders. He's a horrible coach. I mean, sure, he's decent with defense, but so far this year, he hasn't even been good with the defense this year. And so far, like, the start, we had, like, one of the best defenses in football, and now, offenses can move us like a sponge. This is the most happy I've been as a Saints fan since week 2. I've been waiting for this guy to go. He is absolutely terrible. And I think he's like a prime example of just being a good coordinator, but not a head coach. Like, I don't want to ever see this dude touch a head coach position ever again. I am so grateful he is gone, and I hope our future looks bright. Next, we've got Kyle Shanahan, and people might not agree with this, but I'm just going to put him in very good. Hear me out. Ever since he got hired to San Francisco, he has had the Niners at such great success. He's led them to 2 Super Bowls, almost 4 of them, but he hasn't won any of them. Especially the team they have right now. Look how much talent the Niners have. Like, how do they not have a ring already? Like, this is kind of embarrassing. Despite all that, I would still put him in best of the best, but what's keeping me down and putting him in very good is usually he's one of the best offensive masterminds in the NFL. But so far this year, he's had a little bit of an issue with play calling. Like, there's been times this season where it's like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6, maybe 3rd and 7, and they run the ball or they do like a jet sweep. Like, usually they would pass. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, the play calling's been a little off, and the offense has been a little sluggish. I know injuries are a problem, but just his play calling lately hasn't been great. I don't know. The Niners are in a bye week right now, so they can turn it around. But for now, I am going to have Kyle Shanahan in very good coach. Next, we've got Jonathan Gannon, and I am going to put him in very good. He's been a really good coach for the Cardinals so far. The Cardinals were at such a rough spot. Like, last year, yes, they did have a pretty bad record, but they did fight in every single game they played. Like, it was hard to win with that roster they had last year. But so far, look at how good the Cardinals have been this year. The Cardinals have been really good this year. They're sitting on the top of their division at 5-4. Kyler Murray came back and he's been lighting it up. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't been at his best, but he's still been pretty good. And one thing that shocked me a little bit is their defense. Usually it's been terrible, but there have been times where they have sparked. Like, the Cardinals have a little bit of talent, and a part of it is because of Jonathan Gannon. He knows how to run this team, and I think he's been a really good fit for them so far. Next, we've got Mike Macdonald, and so far he's been really good, but also pretty limited. Like, it's mostly inconsistency. Like, one week the Seahawks will look great, and you would think Mike Macdonald's a great coach. And then there's another week where the Seahawks struggle, and then you would think, okay, maybe he's not the best. Like, that's my biggest problem. It's his first year, so we can't really judge him too harshly. He has been very good, but at the same time, he's also been pretty limited. And then lastly, we've got Sean McVay, and I'm going to put him in best of the best. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. Like, so far, he's only had one bad season under his belt. So far, he's had winning seasons every single year he's been a coach, and he's won one Super Bowl, took him to two of them. He's been absolutely amazing. Like, he's amazing when it comes to offense. His clock management is one of the best in the league. And he just knows how to work with his guys. Like, he knows how to run this team, and he's done it for so many years. Like, he's one of the best coaches in the NFL, and I wouldn't be shocked if he stayed on that team for decades to come. He's one of the best coaches in the league. And that was my NFL coach tier list. Take one last look at it. Let me know in the comments what you would do to change this tier list and how you feel about it. I love to hear it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos whenever I post. With all that said, I'm Logan Sharon. I'll see you next time.